Not only were the Russian officials aware of Hillary Clinton campaign, their plan to accuse Donald Trump of being a Russian asset. This, according to U.S. intelligence now. The authorities here, the U.S. intelligence authorities, knew of Russia's knowledge of Clinton's plans. This is before they launched the investigation into the Trump campaign. It looks like this was a giant setup. At one point, Central Intelligence Agency Director John Brennan personally briefed Barack Obama and other top U.S. national security officials that Russia had assessed Hillary Clinton and she had approved a plan on July 26 to, quote, vilify Donald Trump by stirring up a scandal claiming interference by Russian security services, according to Brennan's handwritten notes. What does this story tell you, Sharyl?
Well, it kind of puts a final punctuation on what we've seen come out over the last 3.5 years. And I would say when I first heard some early reporting and leaks and theories about all of this, it sounded so far-fetched that this would actually be a plan hatched and paid for by Democrats in the Clinton campaign. But when you fill in the blanks, it's all there. It's pretty clear and it's pretty obvious. But as often is the case, the drip of information has come out so slowly and been reported so piecemeal that people are acting like they're not very surprised or shocked, kind of like, well, we already knew that. There's been no giant wow, moment on the part of the people who are reporting the news at large that say this is really one of the most incredible and biggest stories of our time.
I think this is possibly the biggest story of my lifetime when it comes to corruption in the government. And if it's not corrected, we have no chance of being a country of, by, and for the people.
Well, and it's not been corrected. We still have an FBI director who has given false testimony repeatedly to Congress, falsely claiming there have been no 702 surveillance abuses, which I've outlined in great detail, all of the documented cases, let alone ones we don't know about. We have, in my lawsuit for the spying on me, the Department of Justice still defending the guilty agents, even with a whistleblower admitting to being part of the campaign. Instead of apologizing and taking care of business, DOJ is defending the guilty agents and not looking at the forensics. So there's a lot that hasn't changed in, again, what I call the persistent bureaucracy that runs this country. And this is why 2016, I believe, happened, because when these signals were put out and when Edward Snowden revealed what was happening within the intelligence agency and when Michael Flynn was going to go in and take care of business, since none of that happened, it allowed these abuses to continue, and they will until and unless it's cleaned up.
Do you think that Trump seems frustrated that this stuff isn't coming out and being cleaned up, but he's really kind of in charge, isn't he? I mean, do you believe anybody is serious about really getting the leadership and cleaning these things out of our government?
I think you have to imagine what it would be like to know the things you believe you know and to want to change the things you want to change as president with maybe a couple of people in your circle that feel the same way you do and that you can trust, but pretty much nobody else who either feels that way or they have some sort of conflict of interest or tie, or they are there for a reason to keep you from doing certain things. And he was convinced very early on through this operation against him, and this was part of what I believe was the goal, that he has to stay away from his own Department of Justice, unlike every other president, that he's not supposed to, give them guidance and leadership on certain topics, which is not true, but they've scared him away from his own Justice Department, lest he be accused of interfering with it in some inappropriate way, and that's kept him marginalized to some degree. Jeff Sessions, I'm told by numerous sources, whispered in his own office when he met with some people, members of Congress, because he didn't trust the people in his own office who could be listening to him about certain things. And he was utterly frozen and unable to do the things that he stated he wanted to do. If you can imagine this monster that's been built up that is the bureaucracy for so many decades, you can, attack a layer or two, but you don't know how deep it goes or how many people are on which side in the end. So it becomes very hard to accomplish in 4 years.
Is it
or
safe?
Even 8.
Is it safe to say, if you didn't believe in a deep state in 2016, okay, but if you don't believe in a deep state now, you are not paying any attention at all?
I think that's true. And I was one of those who thought the notion might have been somewhat exaggerated, not having known what I know now.
Yep.
I had people tell me things I didn't report, but about meetings that took place that I couldn't verify with people in Department of Justice and other agencies actually having conference calls to conspire in ways that sounded unlikely and unbelievable at the time, that I now have no reason to think didn't happen because these sources have proven correct on so many other things. So yes, I do. I even had a guy tell me, Glenn, he says, this was about 2 years ago, but he was emailing me about something else, and he said, there is a deep state, and I can tell you there is because I was part of it. And he worked at a high level in the State Department under Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. And I just thought that was interesting that he admitted it and used that term to describe the role that he felt he played.